Welcome everybody. Day 5 in a row here. It's a nice Friday. Episode number 5, Placed in Shelter with your host, Ryan Catarozoli. And today, our episode is actually going to be what I'm going to call the strip heater conundrum. So what exactly is the strip heater conundrum? Well, here's what it is. If you were to ever go to Hatco U, I believe Dave Ralston was originally doing the presentation on food warmers, but there is approximately 1 quadrillion different combinations of strip heaters available, which is why sometimes it can be rather confusing, or as I say, the strip heater conundrum. Now, this presentation at Hatco School goes on for roughly an hour and a half. When Dan Frigo gets a hold of it, I think sometimes it's closer to 3 hours, and I'm gonna do it in about 8 minutes. So if I were to ask one of my favorite questions in the industry, whether it's somebody that's been in the industry for 30 years or 30 days, I get a variety of different answers. And the simple question is, how do I know when to choose which strip heater? And I'm not talking about individual configuration numbers, just the 3 basic heating elements. When do I choose the cal rod element, which comes in a standard watt, high watt, max watt? How about a ceramic element? Ceramic elements come in standard watt as well as high watt. And then we also have the infra black, which really is essentially the same as the cal rod element, except it actually has a channel built into the back of the black body emitter. So directly in the center of this black portion would be a channel on the back side where the cal rod element is actually sitting. And what that does is kind of diffuse some of the heat. So oftentimes when I ask this question, I get a variety of different answers. Everything from we sell whatever specified, we always sell Hatco, I always sell a GRAHL 36D every single time. But no one's ever really gone into detail as to when to choose which one. So the way I want to look at it here is what I'm going to call a little game of strip heater who, which is similar to guess who. We're going to ask a series of questions, and that's going to tell us which possibilities we need for the strip heater. So this is not going to tell you what power location. It's not going to tell you where the switch location is or which remote box. Again, this is very high level. But with these 5 questions, you'll be able to come up with a model number that's more accurate than the other answers that I typically get. So in level of importance, question number 1, what is the distance from the heating element to the food that's available? Okay, that changes from job to job. If I'm doing a remodel on an old diner somewhere with a very narrow pass-through window versus a brand new construction where I can choose exactly what that pass-through window is going to be or where the shelving heights are going to be, that's going to greatly change which strip heaters are available. So the reason that's the most important question is because the distance from the target, from the heating element to the target, which is the food, will eliminate at least half of the strip heaters with just one question. So think of guess who. Question number 2, and I call it 2A and 2B because they can kind of go in either order, but they do the same thing. They eliminate a number of different strip heaters you're looking for. So question number 2, the length left to right, and 2B would be the target area, which is actually front to back. So if you look at this next photo here, these pictures are showing from the side. So when I'm talking about target area, it's this bottom number right here, 12 inches, 21 inches, 24 inches. That's going to be based on the number of heating elements and the spacer that is there. Question number 3, do you need lights? Very simple, yes or no. And question number 4, what type of food product are you going to be putting there? With those 5 things, you can come up with a model number that is more accurate than just the run-of-the-mill, I always specify this model. So let's talk about what those each mean. So number 1, the distance you can see here. You will see on a standard heating element, 10 to 14 inches, high watt, 14 to 18 inches, max watt 18 to 24. I've been in an install where it was roughly 12 inches from the heating element to the food, and they had an ultra glow, which is a ceramic heating element. The standard distance away should only be 14 inches, and this unit ended up being closer to a 10 and a half, 11 once that housing dropped down. So what was happening is you're cooking the food. It was way too hot. So simply knowing that target distance, top to bottom, is going to be able to allow you to choose which heating element you're looking for. Now, on the completely opposite end of the high watt, you have the infrablack series. And what that does is it really creates more of a gentle infrared that's coming down. And now you can see I can be much closer to the food product. This is a great solution for more gentle heat coming down, as well as remodels where space is limited. So once again, by answering those questions, I can come up with a model number. Now, if you look, there are several different models here. For example, a standard watt, or excuse me, a high watt glow rate with a standard CalRod element is from 11 to 14 inches. A standard watt ceramic is from 14 to 18 inches. And you can even do the high watt infrablack at 14 inches above when it's a dual. So the question becomes, Ryan, what happens when I ask all of those questions and it limits down the number of models that I have, but it doesn't tell me the exact one? That's where question number 5 comes in. What type of food product are you using? Again, from yesterday's conversation, we talked about the emissivity, and that's the different wavelengths that are sent off from the different elements. And as we know from yesterday's talk, the ceramic element has an emissivity that is absorbed better by fried foods. So immediately the fried foods is going to give you more distance from the food product, and it's going to absorb better. If I have extremely delicate product and I don't want it to be blasted with an ultra glow, the infrablack would be the solution, even though the distance remains the same. So by putting those 5 things together, you'll be able to come up with a model number that is fairly close to exactly what you want, or at least close enough that you will at least have an accurate strip heater as opposed to something that's incorrect, an ultra glow 10 inches from the product, or vice versa, an infrablack sitting at 22 inches, which will never, ever allow you to get enough heat to your food product. Now, one other thing to point out, as you're looking at the different heights, I'm going to go back 2 slides here. Take a look, for example, at a standard watt, 10 to 14 inches, and a high watt at 14 to 18 inches. If you are at the top number, I would recommend bumping up to the next wattage if available. So if I was at 14 inches on a standard, I would recommend the high watt. And here's why. Not that the standard watt is not going to do the correct job. It's because these were tested in ideal situations. And how many times do we have ideal situations set up in restaurants? There's a lot of outside factors. You may have incorrect makeup air. You could have a wind tunnel blowing through your pass-through. You could have a heating and ventilating duct pouring cold air down from the air conditioner. So you have a lot of different outside factors to worry about and be concerned about. So if you are at one of the upper levels, I would suggest moving to the higher wattage to give you a better performance. Once again, this is not going to answer everything. You're not going to know power location, power requirements. There's a lot of different things that will give you a configuration number, but this will give you the model number that you're looking for. Last but not least, this magical page where all these slides came from can be found in the Hatco catalog. It's page 86, and this will show you everything that you need. The target distance, so how deep that heat needs to be, the height distance. It'll show you everything that you're looking for when it comes to this page. So this is what I would be looking at if I had any questions when it came to a customer. I would ask those 5 questions and I would refer to page 86, and I'm going to be very, very close to having the exact strip heater right off the bat without even having to get into the fine details. And with that, that's going to wrap up today's talk. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for a second and open this up to question and answer. Once again, for ease, we're going to open up the chat. If you do have any questions, you can select the chat button at the bottom of the screen and enter it in yourself. So right now it is open to questions and answers. All right, well, once again, I think we nailed the topic. We got all of the basics out there. Again, this could be a 2.5, 3-hour presentation at Hatco University. I wanted to wrap it up in just a few minutes to give you the key points that will make you more confident when choosing the right strip heater. Now, one thing I forgot yesterday, obviously, is going to be our memes of the day. So we're going to go ahead and bring that back up today. And I've got a couple of good ones, including one customer submission. So number one, pro tip for couples suddenly working from home together. Get yourselves an imaginary coworker to blame things on. In our house, Cheryl keeps leaving her dirty cups all over the place, and we really don't know what to do about her. I think that's a great idea. That one hits kind of close to home. Here's one for the summer. Everyone this summer, I haven't seen you since the plague. And last but not least, Deanne at Johnson Pike & Associates sent me this one that really hit home. Quarantine day 13. Hey kids, it's snack time. A little NyQuil Jello, if you will. And that is the last one we have today. So that'll wrap up today's episode. Thank you, everybody, again. I know it was a Friday. Thanks for joining in all week. We really appreciate you, everyone that's been here. Again, we have an email set up. It's placedinshelter@gmail.com. I'm looking for more topic ideas. If you have any questions that I haven't answered or something you didn't want to bring up in today's talk, please send those to that Gmail address. If you are catching this on YouTube, remember to hit the bell notification so that you'll be notified every time that we do place new videos on. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend.